Hi, and welcome back to the SSO briefing. Now we're going to talk about the basics of the Centrify Direct Control capability as it relates to Active Directory. If you already know the basics, feel free to skip to the next video. But we're going to talk about how Centrify provides centralized administration, streamlined authentication, and policy enforcement. Okay, so let's start with my laptop, and I have an environment here, and I have Active Directory. So first, how Centrify uses Active Directory, it uses it for as an LDAP repository, it uses Kerberos for authentication, and it uses group policy to enforce policy. So ultimately, when a system is joined with Active Directory to Active Directory with Centrify, you're going to see computer objects, just like if you're going to see machines in Active Directory normally. But this pack a punch because they provide information about the system, right? So they are true uh, uh, computer accounts that can authenticate. At the same time, you can do it for Unix, Linux, and Macs as well, right? So um, another benefit it has to do with identity. A lot of flexibility with Centrify because you can provide users not only their Unix identity, but you can have multiple Unix identities tied to a single user. This is way much more flexible than using services for Unix or other schemes. Um, the benefit at the end of the day is centralized administration, right? So end users, we delight in users because their experience can be as simple as SSO. In here I'm launch party as Lisa Simpson. She can get SSO to my Engineering 6 system. Notice that she got the banner and she got Kerberos SSO, and we're telling her, hey, your AD password is going to expire in 52 days. At the same time, notice that Lisa's username is Lisa in that system. If she, if need be, we can have a different identity for this user, and she can log in with her SAM account name, her Unix name, or her UPN, and her experience is going to be basically a common credential. Notice in here that the user has the identity of Lisa.Simpson, and here she's just Lisa. But if we do this without schema extensions to Active Directory, we do it software and domain controller, so effectively there's no Centrify server, just a Centrify agent. And if we look at, for example, the etc password file, if I cat etc password file, um, and I want to find Lisa, I won't be able to see her because she doesn't live in Active Directory. I could do something like a tent password Lisa to get her Unix information, or I can do more powerful tools like AD query. AD query user Lisa minus A is going to show me way much more information because I'll be able to tell, not only her Unix identity, but also things like, is the user expired, or is the account locked out? So this provides a lot of information for for SMEs to do their jobs, also including group memberships, right? The other benefit has to do, of course, with centralized administration. Because we're not putting users in the etc password file, ultimately any tool can just disable a user in AD, and if that user wanted to, for example, in this case, duplicate an SSL session, the user is disabled. So we are implementing strong access controls, but we don't need to synchronize to the etc password file. We don't need to rationalize the Unix environment. It's all using Unix frameworks, right? So that's one way of getting SSO right there with login applications. Um, Next, another capability that Centrify provides is the ability to do privileged user management, and this not only works for Unix, Linux, but also for Windows. So ultimately, you have the ability to group computers, regardless of them being Unix, Linux, or Windows. For the purposes of Unix, you can consolidate Unix identity, including Unix users and groups, right? In addition, you can provide timed access and very granular access control. I have another user. Her name is Diana, right? Diana does have the ability to do things as root. For example, in here, she can, log in, and if she needs to do something that only root could do, for example, stopping and starting a service, she could do, for example, service HTTPD restart. She's going to be challenged with her AD password, and we're going to log in the syslog who did what based on their AD identity. At the same time, we have the ability to provide granular access. So let's just say in the case of Lisa, Lisa in this system, she's a DBA. We have a command called dzinfo, and it shows you, information about what the user's role is, how the user can log into the machine, in this case through SSH, and what are the commands that she can run. For example, if she needed to, elevate to root, to Oracle, she can do it no problem. I didn't even challenge her. But if she needed to, stop the Oracle service, Oracle exe, restart. I'm going to challenge her, and she'll be able to do what she's supposed to do. And in the other system, contrast this here as Lisa. She has no rights. So if I do dzinfo here, notice that she doesn't have any privileged commands. She's just a regular user. So you have very granular controls, and then you can tie that to reporting, right? So if you needed to know, for example, who has access to what, or generate reports, you can use the SQL Server reporting services. You can use PowerShell. You can use the command line, you can have very convenient reports delivered by email or using a file share. So it's all about authentication, privilege management, and finally auditing, right? So this one does require a server infrastructure, in this case SQL Server. So if you needed to know what your users were up to end to end, not through a job box, just if you needed to know what they did through the console or what they did normally, you can always look at the sessions here with Audit Manager. This is going to show me basically session transcription. If I needed to replay it, just like if it was a movie at home with your DVR, I can actually look at it as well. And this is going to work end to end. Also, this works on Windows as well. So basics. With Centrify, you can get basically AAA. AAA is authentication, authorization, and auditing. And finally, oh, we forgot about the Mac, right? What if Lisa wanted to access her Mac, right? Her experience is going to be the same. We provide a more robust plugin than Apple's, because it does support complex scenarios, Microsoft PKI, a smart card. So it's really ready for the enterprise, and really important also GPOs, right? So from a Mac perspective, what a lot of organizations want to do is they want to notice that the message is consistent, right? So we're telling the user that her password is going to expire in 51 days. But consistency in management, right? There's great tools out there like Casper, if you wanted to consolidate management for certain aspects, get the great AD integration, but let's just say you wanted to eliminate having like a local account that is well known, you can use a simple GPO that is going to allow the user to, open the padlock, for example, in system preferences with her AD credential, no problem, by way of AD group membership. So very consistent experience across the board, and I'm hoping that you got this. Next, we're going to talk about direct SSO.